Oh, there he is.
Okay, cool.
He is muted, but it's not something I can undo. This is a self-mute thing.
Victor, since Rowan's not responding, we're just going to move forward. So whenever you're ready, just let us know.
Not the exterminator and not the military. And they don't care about us either.
So
All right, it appears we are streaming now. So welcome to the 2/27/20 Council of Crowns meeting. Everybody, I linked the agenda into the CoC Spectators Lounge for those that want to follow along. If you can find it under the jumble of everybody talking.
I got it. Hold on.
For those not in the Discord channel, but just watching on the stream, we have a very large audience tonight. So we're just going to go through and start with a really quick attendance. Astral Winds?
Here.
Ray?
Here.
Here.
Rosedale, are you going to be able to talk while you... I know he's here, so we'll move on. It looks like Icefire Bay is not in attendance unless he snuck in when...
I'm here.
Sorry, I had to connect Acewind's phone. I'm here, Frozen Coast.
I snuck.
Awesome. So we have a... Right, so on the announcement side of things, some exciting news. Dark Lodge Crossing has actually got all their paperwork together, and they've hit, from a quick review, the base requirements to apply to become a part of. So the steps forward now is all of that paperwork is getting forwarded to the BoD. Once they get a chance to look over it, then at the next BoD meeting, they will vote if we are going to, we would like to accept them as a part of Northreach, and that'll instantly be put on the next all thing. So the populace can vote to add them to our kingdom. So the populace can vote to add them to our kingdom, so the populace can. Second item for the night is the ambassador's report. For those of you that don't know, I'm holding the ambassador position. The major things going on right now on the national scale is we've actually finally got a proposed youth policy that everybody's going to be reviewing. There's no actual vote on it right now, but I'll be posting that onto the Northreach page so we can all kind of stay in the know on that. For those of you who don't know, that is in reference to the CoC 7 that was added to the Code of Conduct. Previously, we had it referenced to youth policy, but we didn't actually have one in place. This is firming that up and kind of closing up some loose ends that people had. More eyes on that, the better, so we can make an informed vote when it comes time to vote on that. Did anybody have questions about the proposed?
Is that the one that says that you're not supposed to communicate with any minor one-on-one ever?
One-on-one, so that's portion 5 of the youth policy in the draft. There's a portion that says that you can't communicate one-on-one with a minor that you are not a legal guardian of unless you have another adult.
Huh.
Yeah, Esther, and it is a draft, but it's been posted up to get a second on it. I can link that over here right now so everybody can take a look at it.
That'd be awesome.
I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So as a note, this is just. I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So as a note, this is just. I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So as a note, this is just. I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So as a note, this is just. I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So as a note, this is just. I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So as a note, this is just. I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So as a note, this is just. I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So no, this is just. I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So no, this is just. I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So no, this is just. I'll also share it over onto the Northreach page. So no, this is just. I'll also share it over.
On that, by the way, Haven and Puppet.
So no, this is just. I'll also share it over.
On that, by the way, Haven and Puppet. For
So no, this is just. I'll also share it over.
on that, by the way, Haven and Puppet. For
So no, this is just. I'll also share it over.
on that, by the way, Haven and Puppet. For
So no, this is just. I'll also share it over.
on that, by the way, Haven and Puppet. For
So no, this is just. I'll also share it over.
on that, by the way, Haven and Puppet. For
So no, this is just. I'll also share it over.
on that, by the way, Haven and Puppet. For
So no, this is just. I'll also share it over.
on that, by the way, Haven and Puppet. For
So no, this is just. I'll also share it over.
on that, by the way, Haven and Puppet. For
So no, this
By the way, if you're an oven or 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 by the way, if you're an oven
All right, so previously, primary concern was it wasn't quite, the previous bid was not within the budget parameters. It looks like this one has been altered to fit the budget parameters that were set.
This is looking a lot better.
We have Kraken with us tonight. Does anybody want to ask him some questions? So Kraken says I'm silent. Can you not hear me? Kraken, are you able to unmute yourself, or do you need me to do it? All right, Kraken has been unmuted on the server. If anyone has questions for him.
It's actually looking pretty good to me.
Kraken, so I was chatting with Stephanie, and they were wanting to coordinate kind of working together and sharing some funding on making swords for events between Highland Games and Three Barons. Is that something you'd be interested in doing?
Absolutely.
I think that would help to kind of put some relief between the two events. Can also add in State Fair, just because we're making the same product.
No, I don't mind going in and helping with that.
Do you have any construction areas?
I have a craft room, and I have Michael's available, willing to let us use their space at any time. And just so people knows, we can DAP and do everything we need there at Michael's. You have a ventilated craft.
Awesome. All right. Has everybody had enough time to review it that we can vote on Kraken taking this bid? Yeah, with the crickets tonight. Hearing no objections, I'm going to take this to a vote if that's okay.
Let's do it.
All right, Astral wins.
Me. Yes.
Rainstone.
Yes.
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 Ice.
Yes.
And that is a yes from me as well. Congratulations, Kraken. You are our official Three Barons Fair. Thank you for stepping up.
Awesome. Cool beans. I do have one quick question for the COC about this. Have you guys already contacted the Three Barons people and got our reservation?
I haven't signed the application, but I was chatting with the vendor coordinator at the store the other day, and she's already.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, Kraken, down the line here, let's get together and discuss the swords and stuff between the three events and kind of pool our funds and crank out a lot of stuff to sell.
Yeah, let's do some sword shops, man.
Yeah.
You want to get that application filled out pretty quick too.
I'm actually downloading it.
Awesome. Let me know if you need any help with that. All right, so we did kind of an informal chatty poll on Dungeon Con 2021. I want to discuss how we want to move forward, deciding on what route we do. We want to put that to an all thing, just have put out for open bids and accept whichever format.
I think it's a pretty good idea.
Just set the date range and the budget, and I think my only issue with that is that the budget is extremely varied based between con or non.
What's the difference in budget?
About 5.
So for the con, you're looking at like $5,000 more. Okay, cool.
Yeah, standard DC is about 45 to 5K, and con DC is about 10K.
Oh, that's a lot of Ks.
So maybe it would be worth putting out an all thing and let people vote on if we would like to do con format or.
I would like the all thing.
I second that.
I was gonna second that.
So do we want it to be an all thing, or do we want to be all populous poll? Note from all Nullarian there.
I would personally think that all thing is better.
I like all thing.
Same. All right, then I'm going to note that here that on our next all thing, that will be a voting topic. Crawl versus.
Yeah, that vinyl stuff is pretty cool.
All right, so John, do you want to update us on how your ANS committee is going?
Yes. Let me find my committee minutes. So through our meeting that we had Sunday, we were refining what we're calling state, and just kind of the main points that we're going over is what the purpose of all the aspects are, how the cultural champion, how it affects it, reviewing the other kingdoms' crown qualification systems, and implementing things if we think that they might work well. We're looking at also number of quals required based on region size, and record keeping of statecraft qualifications, which is just like anything that has to do with them. So if those of you guys who aren't really aware, the statecraft qualifications would be things like your volunteer time, and with your volunteer time, with what you're doing, that would kind of be logged, and you would sorry, the ankles are getting me in the chat. Turning away from my computer. So with the statecraft qualifications, what they would do is you would work to a certain point, and then you'd earn yourself one, and then it would make it so you didn't need to have you'd get to have one less qual. That's kind of the general goal, and it's to I'm spacing on what we had talked about. Sorry, it's been such an eventful last couple of days. The whole purpose is to include a part of AmpGuard that isn't in our quals, where most other parts of our crown qualifications are in our actual qualifications. So, one of the main points about AmpGuard is volunteering, and I think that it's a great way to kind of bring recognition and bring representation of that. We do have a draft goal to be completed by March 31st. That's kind of the overall. Is that good?
So, who all did you add to your committee?
Yes. We have Delhi. We have Lord Corrin. We have Valen. We have Jennifer Suter. Couldn't think of her game name. Sorry, Jen.
Guinevere.
Guinevere. There we go. And I think that's. Am I missing anybody, guys? Sound off in the chat. And Gideon.
That's a pretty good spread.
Yep.
Does anybody else have questions for John?
So this will allow me to sub volunteer hours for quals. Yeah, things like that. There's also things we're looking at, such as like, will we accept like terms of office as like, a qual? Something that we're kind of interested in. And like I said, it just, I think it helps our current officers who are trying to continue to be in office, take a little bit of weight off of them. And I think it also mobilizes our people who are wanting to be into office, or go into office, sorry. I think it helps them kind of gives them an extra little push. Like, well, I know I want to be in office next 6 months. So this 6 months, I'm going to focus on volunteering and helping my park get better. So the answer is yes.
Did anybody else have questions? Sounds like it's moving along pretty good, especially since you only started 2 weeks ago.
It might be kind of cool if people who want to be in office could sub volunteer hours. for their community in general as a qual. For example, Beans Cafe, Brother Francis Shelter. I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. I think it just kind of pulls away from what we were attempting to achieve, but that's something that I'm definitely not opposed to bringing up. I think it just kind of detracts away from what I'm trying to do, which is to get people to put more effort into AmpGuard and then locally. It doesn't mean that's not a bad idea. Sorry, doesn't mean that it's not a good idea. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's actually a really good point. Ray says not entirely, just other contributions. It gets AmpGuard's name out there if they do it for Northreach. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. Maybe we'll make some Northreach polos. That's a good idea. I'm gonna trademark that before anyone else does it. It's a joke. Tough crowd. Let's see. But part of ANS quals is harnessing those skills, you know. Again.
Hey, I left.
Sorry. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's fair. Sorry. Boot and Ray are definitely discussing, so I like it. Yeah, does anyone else have any other questions about kind of like our goals or anything about it? Okay. What's your question, babe? Did she leave the chat?
No, she's here.
Okay, I thought I heard somebody drop it. I was like, oh man.
Somebody dropped it. It wasn't Boo.
Several people are typing dot
Yeah,
dot
I
dot.
see that. This makes me happy. I'm so happy to see so many people engaging with this. I thought it was gonna be like kind of maybe a boring topic and we'd be past it.
Love to see this.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Okay, will this make it easier for Juno to contribute to quals? Yeah, it'll make it easier for potentially everybody. One of the things that kind of beginning shires have historically struggled with in the past, as I understand it, is making those ANS requirements. And like I said, one of the things we're looking at is kind of like a region-based allowance. So like if you're like I don't want to put numbers out there, but you know, right now the number is 7, but if you're a shire, it might be less than that. Does the streamlining of the quals process also include baselines for what the judges should expect? What an actual 3 looks like. See Drake's perfect 3.0 sword. I think that is kind of a separate topic from what we're dealing with, although not any less important. I had previously had a committee to kind of go into that, but it turned into something that I didn't plan it to be, and it just hasn't rebooted itself back up. Rebooted, you see I use that word. Anyways, off topic. Oh, okay, that's just a comment. Perfect. Heh. Oh, wow, rude. Can you explain what exactly a quality is? Oh, sorry, qual. Yeah, so crown qualification is we have cultural events, and it is, well, I guess as a whole, sorry. As a whole, it's arts and science entries, things like crafting or making garb, and it's also participating in the tournaments. Oh, and that's one of the things actually I forgot to go over. I remember now that I said that. Is where did it go? Defining participation in A 9.1 between reaving in place of fighting and the tournament for quals. It's another volunteer thing that you're doing, but you know. All right, let's see here. Go up, not down. Yeah, well, hopefully, if we're lucky. Sorry, Astriana said, I think the focus on less items, then quality will go. Then the quality will go up and not down. I think that's pretty fair. And let's see here. Miss anyone? Oh, I did. I literally just skipped over your thing. Sorry about that, Sethan. I think ANS will still be okay. And like I said, it's always something that we could try, and if it doesn't work out, we can vote it out. So we have right, and so sorry, Ingrid had said maybe have it so only a couple quals can be exchanged for volunteering. Kind of agree with Boot about officers being well-rounded. I think that's pretty fair. And like I said, specifics and numbers and stuff like that. If you guys want to kind of listen to that side of it, all of our meetings will be here on Discord, and you guys can kind of listen in and
Will you make announcement as to when your meetings are, so folks, if they want to kind of get together and help brainstorm this, give you input, can join?
I absolutely will.
All right. So we do still have a few things to go through. So if anybody would like to brainstorm and put in their 2 cents, keep an eye out for when their meetings are. Sounds like a lot of people are really excited to participate with this.
Fantastic. Well, can't wait to see you guys there. All 37 of you.
So Puppet was pretty excited about his Grand Duchy proposal he'd like to bring to the All Thing. So, Puppet, you want to tell us how your committee's been going?
Yeah, can we unmute Deli?
Yeah, I can unmute Deli.
How would you like us to deliver the info? Can I just do this really quick? Did that work? Everyone stop posting. No, it's going away. Deli, unmute yourself, dude.
I think Deli's at work.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, anyway, it turns out we did a lot of research about Grand Duchies. They're used differently throughout the history of Amtgard. Sometimes they were a alternative to principalities, and then some. No, you guys can type. I was just throwing it out there. Deli says unmute me. How do I unmute this guy?
He's not server muted.
Yeah, Dell, you have to unmute yourself.
So we researched Grand Duchies, and basically they've sometimes come before principalities. Sometimes they were in place of principalities, and as far as we can tell, they're really all over the place on rules. So we can pretty much make it whatever we want, however we want it, and we think this fits our kingdom the best. We didn't want to really give any titles of nobility or master paragons. We have systems in place. I think we're happy with those systems. But just seeing a step above duchy would be nice. It sort of gives like another goal to reach, you know. And I think it'd work out really good for our kingdom. Deli, unmute yourself.
Hey, there's a valid question in the chat, by the way. It says 50 and 45 for the average.
Sorry, we changed it to 45. Is it still in there?
Okay, cool. It says both, so 45 is a good.
Oh, it's. Hang on a sec.
Easy.
There we go. I
Can
feel
you
like
hear
I
me
can't
now?
spell 45. Fortify. Anyway, it doesn't. Deli was my wordsmith. Look, he's unmuted.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've gotten to a point in Astro Winds where we need something higher than Duchy, I guess, which is kind of cool, kind of exciting. So we just made a Grand Duchy thing. And honestly, it's just the same thing as Duchy, except they're able to 10th order the orders of things instead of 8th order of things. And instead of asking that they perform things like fundraising and that sort of stuff. We ask that they consistently do that. And that's the only difference. And I guess 45 people is the average attendance. Honestly, we made it in like 10 minutes, and we've thought about it for about a month, and we haven't figured out a better way to do it. And it looks great. Like,
So is this obviously with the corrected on the 45/50 your final draft you're planning on proposing for the all thing?
Yes.
yeah. And moving forward, looking through other kingdoms, it found out that other kingdoms had kind of smaller jumps. Like their duchies were less than 30 for the most part, and like they also had like counties in some places and like principalities. It might be interesting moving forward, thinking about the difference between a barony and a duchy is like 15 people to 30 people is a big jump, and maybe breaking it down is something that might be beneficial in the future. But right now, 45 seems like a reasonable number where it's like a difference between 30 people every week, but also not so far out that it's unattainable.
Do you feel like 50 people every week is unattainable?
I think if you make 15 people a week, you could see your park like, oh yeah, 30 people, that's a reasonable goal, right? And then they go to 30. And then when you're a duchy, if you were to say, okay, your next reward is 50 people, I think it's a little bit too high of a margin for you to realistically see. Because like, I was in Froco and we started as a shire and then we grew to a barony and we were real excited about that. And we're like, all right, now we got to go to duchy. Then we got to duchy and then there was nothing above us anymore. Right. And I think a lot of like the hype for like recruitment and such died off after there was no higher goal to hit, so I think there needs to be a higher goal, and I think 45 is a reasonable size. Also, 15 to 30 is 15 people, and then 30 to 45 is 15 people. So I think that's where we came up with 45, but 50 is what I originally thought. But a majority of people in our committee voted for 45, so that's what we did. That's what we're going with.
Does anybody have questions for Puppet or Dylan? Boot asks, are you putting this as a formal proposal? Yes, this was them drafting their formal proposal for the all thing.
And to answer Moku's, which I don't know if he got answered or not. In our proposal, only the kingdom can give up masterhoods. We didn't want to have the ability to hand out titles of nobility and masterhoods because we didn't want it to resemble principality. We wanted it to be our own thing.
Million Oscar also asked what's after Grand Duchy. It's interesting to note that when you're looking through all the parks and all of Amtgard, no one really has a average above 45. So like if one of our parks was able to hit Grand Duchy by how we defined it, they would be the largest park in Amtgard. So I don't know if like having like a 60 person per week would be fruitful unless we're just killing it,
So much pizza to buy for that.
One pizza per person. I also like Omega Duchy as a suggestion. Principality Light, that's a good one.
Should we be voting for this proposal?
That is an excellent call, Rowan. Let's make a vote for the CoC to actually accept this proposal and put it on the all thing. I believe the next all thing is in 2 weeks.
Do you guys have any concerns though? Like, are you concerned by the fact that a Grand Duchy could give out a 10th order of a rose or a 10th order of the lion, or, arts and sciences, or, theoretically they could give out a warlord at this like level?
I personally don't. I mean, if you can maintain 45 members, I think you pretty much got a pretty good populace to do that with.
Yeah, I don't really see anything wrong with it.
Boot said she has a question/concern. What stands? Thor said a question for me. I messed up your name. Okay, your name right, and then got it wrong.
This is also a place where we could add lines that say like what you guys are wanting to expect out of a Grand Duchy. Like, all of the parks say like, like barony, now we require like the officers show up to like kingdom meetings. Duchy require them to actually like do things like fundraising and such, even though they aren't really looked at as regular things to put on those lines. If you guys wanted to add things like, we want them to, consistently, participate in hosting kingdom level events, or something like that. Like, there's things you can add there if you wanted to.
To answer Paige's question, we did not put in having our own corpora for Grand Duchy. We felt that making it like a principality would be the wrong move since our kingdom is so small. So, I mean, we're very happy with Northreach. So we didn't put in the whole principality, have your own parks beneath you kind of thing. If that's what you mean, Boots. Or did I just read that wrong? Am I muted?
No, we can all hear you.
Okay.
All right. Do we want to vote to have this added to the next all thing?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Frozen.
Yes.
Ice.
Yep.
Awesome. With my vote of yes as well, we will have this on the next all thing. Puppets or Deli, can either one of you please send me the exact wording for your all thing so I can have that posted for the next all thing?
Yeah, Deli, can you please spell 55 correctly for me? That'd be great.
God.
45. What did I just say?
45.
All right. For the fun portion of the evening, open questions from the populace. You're welcome to address your questions to any individual person or to the council as a whole. Two questions from Ray. Question from Page Boot. Mara, do you know you're awesome? I always know I'm awesome. You are too. Ray, I believe you actually had something you were wanting to propose to the CoC tonight, right? You don't have to write it. I can unmute you so you can propose it, because I know it's kind of a longer thing. Awesome Man 1653. After the All Thing takes place, and if Juno were to be inducted into the kingdom, when would they become part of a park of Northreach? As soon as the All Thing's done, we can just we can get all that wrapped up, and you'd be added just about right away. I already unmuted Ray. Ray, go ahead.
Wait, am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Ray.
Excellent. Okay. Sorry, I was like not expecting to have to type it, so I was just furiously typing. So I guess I have two questions and then a like proposal-ish. So the first is, do we have a written policy that is used every single time for written warnings for people when there are player complaints or like infractions of some sort, so that like every time it happens, no matter who's in the council, it's the same like paper trail? Kind of a long question, sorry.
Don't apologize. From what I've seen, there is no actually specific written policy. There is outlined in the corpora.
Awesome, because I guess it's sort of a half proposal. I was talking to Logan about it. It sounds like he has some experience with it. What is the best way if like a member wanted to contribute some sort of start for that, so that, because I know the officers are always busy with a lot of things on their hands, like what is a way that a member could like write something up like that and submit it for you guys to review and edit as would help? Because it seems like having a standard might be really good for future councils and also for just future players in general. Like, because if there's a standard of practice, every single time it happens the same way, then it allows one voice to be heard. And it also like kind of protects people because there's kind of a history and a record and it happens the same way every time. Does that make sense? So I guess what's the best way to submit like an outline or a draft or something so that it can be actionable?
So, are you referring to like putting it into the corpora so that every single monarch does it the same way?
If that's what should happen, yes. I figured the leaders would be the best ones to decide how it should be implemented, since you guys have the experience with that. But yeah, yes. Just writing something.
Sorry, for an all-thing proposal, generally what we've been doing this reign, if you have something you'd like to submit to an all-thing, you can, so long as you get all the wording together, you can submit that to the CoC, and we'll vote if it's something we want to push out to the populace. Majority of well-worded all things and that seem reasonable, we've pushed out to be voted on.
Excellent. My other question is, I've noticed that we don't actually have a forum for communication on more sensitive topics, specifically like microaggression type things. I know that it's used as a buzzword, but it's also actually a psych term, and it's used in medicine pretty regularly and from a technical standpoint. And there's a lot of information on it out there that's pretty accurate. And one of the things that comes up a lot is that like having a forum where everybody can communicate openly that's specifically meant for that topic and where people can have exposure to conversations with people from all different backgrounds, like that can actually really help. So I guess what I was wondering is what is the best format for that and best way to like kind of propose something for that end, like to have, I don't know if it's like once a year diversity things or if it's like a forum thread or somewhere where people can talk that are all within the Amtgard community and be made aware of these issues as they come up and just talk openly to learn about.
Now, are you wanting something more localized, as in just for like the state of Alaska, or Amtgard as a community? Because there's actually a couple of communities out there I can put out some resources for you for some of the similar stuff.
I know that House Lioness kind of addresses some of those topics, and when we were at Gathering, there were some really great workshops on it. I'm thinking of something that could be Amtgard-wide, because while these issues are everywhere, like there's also issues that are specific to local parks or local kingdoms, and so it helps when you have the diversity within your own kingdom all exposed to each other and talking, so that everybody's voice is heard and everybody can kind of learn and communicate with each other too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it would be good to have a group or a house, or I guess I don't know where to start in an official capacity to help with thinking. Does that make sense?
To kind of ping off your idea, so if it was like a house, it was what would the plan be there? Like just to have like a set of individuals who are open to being contacted about these sensitive issues.
Well, so really, like, it's not about, so really the most important thing is everybody has biases. Like, we all make mistakes and we all actually contribute to these things. Like, it normally, like at a company, you would do like an HR training session, and I know everybody kind of rolls their eyes at that sometimes, but really, like, I guess it's less to deal with issues and more to like educate members in a non-formal way through just conversations on the topic as a whole. So whether that's a Facebook group or like a bi-yearly like workshop or something where people can actively participate and discuss the topics at hand, that could help like for all of our members in general to make sure that people understand where issues arise. Does that make sense?
What would you think about a creating a position which is specifically in charge of setting up, getting out information, setting up probably like a Facebook page or group to have these conversations? Have it somebody that goes with each assigned yearly. That way they follow the kingdom reign. They can put out cultural, any concerns, some educational things, and facilitate discussions.
That'd be excellent, and I would willingly be a part of that group and contribute in any way they needed. So.
Mara, if I can add on to that idea, actually, what if we were to also do more than one? Because I'm assuming if we make this an actual position, this would be a published name of the kingdom. And at the chance that someone's not comfortable talking to that one person, there's another alternative.
I also feel, if I might add, that if we add this as a position, it's something that we should add into the core as well, maybe as an elected office, so that the next council doesn't just drop it because they don't feel it's important.
Astriana's point is I don't think that it should be a separate group discussion. It should be a public forum discussion. This is a subject for everyone.
Absolutely. Like, it's hard to do that on Facebook because you don't want to get it mixed in with like Kingdom information for where people show up to things and what they sign up for. But absolutely, it's something that shouldn't be like an opt-in, people only go if they feel they need it. It should be an information source for everybody that everybody has access to and everyone can see the discussion and be a part of it.
I like that idea. We can have a male and a female position, so more people may be more comfortable with someone of the same gender.
And Boo actually came up. Well, I don't know if she came up with the name, but she brought it up to us. And it's the inclusivity officer. I think that's a pretty solid name.
Inclusider.
I mean, I like it more than Inquisitor. I always envisioned the Inquisitor as someone who would like torture people for information, but I might be getting my terms mixed up.
No, you're absolutely right.
Ray, would you be interested in setting up a proposal for this to be voted on at the next CoC?
Absolutely, I'll write it up.
You're the best.
When is the
Love you,
next CoC? I'll write it up.
The second and fourth Thursday. All right. Did we have other? Several people. Are there people that are typing really long questions or type really slow?
I think it was like an option bar. I think it was the best thing I've written so far. So, yeah. Hey, Mara, Durashar mentioned he wanted to be unmuted. Did we lose Mara?
Nope, she's still here.
I don't think we did, but I did get unmuted. Can you guys hear me?
You're really quiet.
I can hear you, Durashar, but you're super quiet.
How about
Pretty much.
It's better, but
I turned you
not
up.
a lot better.
How was that better?
That sounded the same.
Give it another shot. There. One more time for us.
How about now?
I'd have you turned all the way up to 200%.
That was almost legible.
I think if everyone in the CoC is quiet, you should be solid. Go for it.
All right. So something that got brought up to me a couple of times while I was on the board, but I never had a chance to flesh out the idea. Ray's proposal brought it back to my mind. Was kind of like a local ombudsman, somebody to facilitate communication as a go-between between the CoC and the people. Because I heard several times that people didn't want to come talk to me because I'm intimidating, but there would be somebody else that they were more willing to talk to, and I wasn't sure if there was some way to institute a position that could act as that go-between.
Do you think that oh, sorry. Dear Shar, what was that?
All right, so I guess I know that in my head the position should be kind of a captain of the guard thing, minding the peace and keeping people lines of communication open for if somebody's not comfortable talking to the monarch about a safety issue or about a personality issue, it's another person to talk to, because I know that there's always some kind of a personality conflict somewhere. Some people don't like me and don't want to talk to me, but they might talk to somebody else. And if we have that in an official capacity already, we might need to bring that to the forefront. Like I said, it seemed to me it would fall under the captain of the guard. But if we don't have that position, it seems like maybe we should consider creating one.
So in the chat, I don't know if you're watching, but a lot of people are talking about a direct line complaint form is what Astriana called it. Nalarian said something about setting up an official email, which in theory would only be accessed by the Kingdom Monarch and Kingdom PM. But I think this kind of falls in line with what Ray might have been thinking, where if we kind of combine your idea and kind of her idea, I think we might kind of be landing around the same spot, where maybe we could have, like Nalarian said, like an email, and we can also have the direct line complaint form. And maybe those are all things that officer deals with. Do you think that would be kind of pretty solid? And maybe it's something that we keep pinned on each of the local pages so people can easily find them. So hey, if you have any issues, like on the Loop Moon page, it has all the officers, but at the bottom it can say, hey, if you have any issues, here's a great way to contact our, what do you call them? Inclusivity officers. Do you think that would kind of achieve what you're looking for, Dershar?
It definitely seems like it would. My next question is going to be, do we want to have those individually for each park or one officer kingdom wide?
Well, one of the things that they were talking about was having, you know, a male and a female. So there would be two potentially kingdom wide. But I mean, that's something that we can definitely look at together as a council, whether or not we want to have one locally or if we want to do something where it's just a kingdom office.
So, Rumoko says, true, but what's preventing a group of angry individuals from spamming messages? If they're angry, I mean, figure out why people are. So, Dirk's idea that the answer that maybe we mesh that in with Ray's idea and come out with something.
Definitely works for me. It was just something that it definitely works for me because it was her idea that brought it back to my mind to discuss, as it was something that I never got around to while I was in office.
It might be worth, since she's kind of putting that together, it might be worth contacting her and giving her any details or ideas you had.
Yeah, I'll flesh them out a little bit better than I had for tonight and then send them over to her.
Alrighty. So I saw one other question before all the spam. It looked like Thor was asking about updates on Wolf's Cry for games and schedules and such. We've been drafting everything for the games and schedule, the games, but I think Kraken has a kind of a schedule of when all that's going to be released. I know I'm still working on fleshing out the games myself.
I'm still unmuted if you need me to talk.
Yeah, you want to tell them when you're planning on releasing the game schedule?
Well, I plan to update the website with the schedule we have officially Monday. So we'll have not a fully set schedule, but a tentative schedule up and for everybody by then. And as it goes, we will update the schedule forward.
Thor, did that answer your question?
Just so everybody knows, we have 9 Mammoth tickets and 3 RV spaces left.
Going fast. If you want to bring an RV there, you better buy those soon.
Yep.
Hey, if I worked out some kind of deal for Puppapalooza where we could like get a discount at Chino Hot Springs Hotel, would you guys be into that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Dope.
At what?
I want to see if I can get reduced hotel prices for at Chino Hot Springs for Puppapalooza if anyone wanted to travel the extra 30 minutes.
Sparks and I will totally get a room.
What did any of that mean?
I'm in. Let's do it.
It's a really fancy resort hot spring in Fairbanks.
Okay.
I was going to try to contact them and see if they're willing to knock off some money for their hotel.
Do we have any other questions before we head down to closed session tonight? All right. What if we had an online searchable documentation system for bands similar to being able to search IRL court records? I know we can, like, the orc actually shows us who's all banned. Or are you looking for, like, I can look up details on a person as to why they. I think that's a talk we'll have to have on the details, how much we're willing to put out there, because our previous our previous vote said that we were not putting out much for details to the populace to avoid libel or concerns of.
That's kind of a gray area if you ask me, because if it's already public information, then
What's a wicket?
But having a public listing of bans is, I mean, it should be in the org, but we can have that. We did have that on the forums before. It would be nice to have a easily accessible form for that, so you can see who's banned and when those bans are up. I agree with that. We still have the access to the old forums too, so we can pull that over. Currently, that information is just being recorded in GDoc and the CoC. Do we have any other questions?
Booch has posted one. It says there are more than a few bands that have had a nature of assault / inappropriate contact. This makes me a little uncomfortable and mindful of who we are choosing to associate with our game. Is there any way we can add the addendum to our waiver that we reserve the right to suspend / terminate someone's membership based on prior convictions?
I think that's already in our admin menu, right?
I mean, when it boils down to it, the organization can decide who they want to associate with, no matter what the reasons are. So I don't think that we really need something written down along that line.
In general, when we've found concerning issues, we've addressed them. So if there are very concerning members, make sure to bring that up to the CoC. Dame Hatlin, I'd like to know if the closed session will include discussions regarding the recent racism conversations. Will the CoC be discussing it? Yeah, we actually are talking about that tonight, where everything's at, and trying to get everybody updated as to where we go from here. We're trying to get that expedited, as I know it's kind of taken some time. Oh, yeah, sorry, I apologize. I posted that kind of update on the Facebook page, but I did not do it here tonight. I tried to lay out some of the details of what's going on with the concerns of racial issues. I can do a brief summary if that's okay. So the issues that were brought up by Joe on our Facebook page in November, unfortunately, those were the first time majority of us had ever heard of any of them. So it's been, we didn't have as much information as would have been nice. A lot of it was from 2018, one from 2019. So it's been a little bit of digging and getting information, but the CoC is going to be reviewing everything. Quite a bit of information has been gathered. I got to talk to a few people on Facebook Messenger. So tonight, the CoC, I have, because Joe has expressed concerns regarding myself, I've actually kind of pulled myself out of the discussion. The new CoC members that weren't necessarily on the last council will be really tackling the majority of it, just so that everybody's a little bit more comfortable with it. I totally support a fresh set of eyes looking at everything. And hopefully we should be able to get some updates out really soon. You guys are blowing up my screen here.
Yeah, Larion's making some really good points.
Agreed. That is an excellent idea. I can, I have a closed session kind of agenda off to the side. I can censor that down a little and add that to the public agenda. I believe we've done that in the past, and I've fallen out of habit for that, so thanks for that idea. And yes, we'll be adding Yell at Nalarian.
Good.
Garrett?
You gonna take that, Mara?
Oh, I'll see her tomorrow.
Mara, you are
All right. Does anybody else have questions before we move down to the closed session? Are we doing the CoC meeting after party? You guys enjoy that. I'm probably going to be down in the other meeting. All right, hearing or seeing no other, did everybody get their questions asked?
I think Boot wants to ask something.
Can we see what would take to add another level of security to our membership numbers? I'm not quite sure what you're asking there. So one of the issues that we've run into previously with officially vetting members is the liability that it can open you up to when you've done your base court view search, but failed to kind of spot problem areas and something comes of it. You have that kitty toucher that you didn't quite catch. It's definitely something we can look into, but I know we've had some concerns about it in the past. Oh, most of us court view folks on a pretty regular basis. Is this something you're wanting to add into the waiver?
Ray just brought up a point that I'm really interested in, actually, or phrased the question in a way that I like.
Sorry, reading everything. No, I think that's actually a good idea. I mean, I court view everybody that joins Loop and Moon as a habit, but it would be a good idea to add that to our waiver. Let's add that to something I think we're going to need to talk about that in the BoD.
I like that idea, but I think that we need to discuss it in pretty great detail.
I agree. Let's actually table that, and we can add it as an agenda item to next week's meeting. That way we can come in with more information.
I second that.
That gives us 2 weeks to research it. We're not being cowboys here and just shooting from the hip.
I like what Astriana says there. We should have a lawyer check it over.
Rosedath, isn't your regent a lawyer, or am I not remembering that right?
I do not believe he's an actual lawyer. He is familiar with legal standings, but I believe it is in a particular realm. So
I think what I'm mainly asking is, does he have the would he have the qualifications that we'd be looking for to look at something like this?
To be honest, he's a fairly new player. I don't think I really want to tag him onto that. I can ask him about it. But I don't think we want to have somebody within our organization taking a look for professional recommendation.
I agree. If we're going to do something that we would like to actually hire a lawyer for, we should hire somebody from the outside.
Outsource. I can get behind that.
All right, I have added this to our next agenda. That gives us 2 weeks to flesh this out, so we're not just we're not brainstorming here in the meeting. If anybody has items they would like to add to that brainstorm, make sure to send them over to your monarchs.
Local officers.
All right. Is there any other questions before we wrap things up?
Holy cow, it's Chinoha. I haven't seen that dude in like 2 weeks.
He's in the meeting tonight, Puppet.
God
Yeah.
damn it.
He's been talking.
F.
All right. So, hearing no questions, we are going to close the open meeting for tonight at 9:36. And I've already said that we would have issues if anybody asked if mayonnaise is an instrument. So we are closing at 9:36 and moving to our closed session. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. This was a lot of good community discussion.